Alright, there was already a lot going on in our unit test here, where we've got checking the items count and the first items, product and quantity, and also the cart total. Is there some way in which we can possibly make this validation a little bit more concise? So we've got our one line setup or arranging. We've got our one line of action. This is where we're adding the product with the quantity, which is great as well. But then we've got 4 lines of very specific assertion or validation code here for the test. And this is probably a little bit much. If we can reduce this into a single line, that would be quite good. How could we do that? Well, let's maybe first come in here and see whether we can tidy some of these bits up. Why don't we kind of say var, so item 0, why don't we say item, var item is equal to cart.items first. Yeah, good. And then we could just kind of say, hey, this is the item, and this here is the item. So we've got item.product.name, cool, and item.quantity should be 3. Yeah, that's nice as well. We could also have a product name on the item itself. We could have a little forwarding property. So I think that's a useful skill to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do that. The product name should be Apple. So the test has been broken. Okay, so on our shopping cart item, we want to have a product name. It's not so good to have too many kind of dot operators. Usually we just want to have the one. So I've removed one of the dots. And so we've got product and quantity. Maybe we can do a little forwarding property. That's what that's called. So I'm going to create a new public string, and I've called it what is the product name. And I'm going to make that in here product.name. There we go. That's quite nice, isn't it? So let me run all the tests. By the way, that's called the law of Demeter. And when you've got too many dot operators, shopping cart, dot, items, dot, product, dot, name, it's problematic because it means that we have too much knowledge about the internal operations of our hierarchy of objects. It's best to kind of make objects a little bit opaque, and we've done that here. With item.product_name, we're now not drilling into the product and into the name. The item itself, the shopping cart item itself, knows the product name. So that now it's got item.product_name. By the way, any other, these dots should dot be, those dots are fine because they pertain to the fluent assertions. This is not how our code works, but how the fluent assertion library works. Okay, this is a bit better. So we've got a little bit here on product and quantity. I'm wondering whether we could maybe extract this into a little helper method. We could kind of say private void verify cart item or something like that. And that could be something like, I'm just going to copy that in here. Where we've got the shopping cart item. So this is the item, not items, just item. And then we've got string product name, and we've got the end quantity. I really should make that expected name and expected quantity. It just makes it so long. So if I remove this and product name here and quantity like that, maybe could kind of say, hey, verify cart item. And then we have, well, Apple and 3. Oh, that's nice. So that makes it a little, we've got rid of a line, and this is now reusable as well, which is nice. So we can use a verify cart item. Let me run all the tests. Okay, excellent. All tests are still passing. It's nice to keep on running the tests to make sure they're still all passing. Okay, this is good. So cart.total, cart.items count. We're really only using item as an argument to verify cart item. Let's just use cart.items first as the argument to verify cart item and then remove the item variable. Alright, excellent. So we've got cart.items.count should be 1, our verify cart item, and cart.total. it looks to me like we've got two types of verification here. One of them is at the cart level. I've just copied this line cart.total that should be $1.05 above the verify cart item. These two lines here are about verifying what's happening at the cart level, while the last line, verify cart item, is verifying that a particular item in the cart, the first item is apple, and there's 3 of them, quantity of 3. So I would like to refactor these two lines a little bit. Firstly, we've got another law of Demeter violation, cart.items.count. I mean, it's a slight violation. Nonetheless, it's probably worthwhile for us to create an items count on the cart directly. Alright, and how do we make this change? In the usual way. We create a failing test, and then we follow up with the implementation to turn the test green. So with regards to creating an items count property directly on the cart, to create the failing red test, all we have to do is go items.count and turn it into items count. We have a compilation error. Items count does not exist on the cart. So let's go ahead and create it. Here we go. Here is our shopping cart. Let's create our items count property, public int items count. Oh, that's beautiful. So Visual Studio helped us a lot here. It suggested that items count goes to items.count. We're back with the test. Let's run all unit tests. All the tests pass. Everything is green again. And isn't this nice? We can just run the tests again to make sure that our entire production code works as expected. If we had thousands of unit tests, it would be no different. We would run all of our test suite, or maybe a subset of our test suite, if it did take considerably longer to run these unit tests. Nice. What's next? Let's extract all the verifications, all the assertions that are currently happening and that belong to the cart. So cart.itemsCount and cart.total into a parameterized and reusable verify cart method. Let's do that now. Okay, I'm going to use the refactor verify cart. So it's created a verified cart method for us here, taking in the shopping cart, which is great. However, the items count is still set to be 1 if we were wanting to reuse verify cart in such a manner that it would work for an items count of 2, 3. So anything that is greater than 1, we might want to turn the assertion value here into a parameter. Well, let's do that now. And items count, also the total decimal total, which is that value here, and the items count is asserted there. Of course, a level up, we will have to include the arguments verifying the cart for the 3 apples test, and of course we've got 1 items count, and we know the total that we're expecting is 1.05 and M to declare it as a decimal. Alright, let's run all of our unit tests again. Are they still passing? Yes, the unit tests are still passing. We are looking great. So we've refactored our 3 apples unit test to the point where we haven't got the assertion step to a single line. That's an ideal. Here we've got 2 lines, one verifying at the cart level, any kind of properties like the number of items, the total, and a second helper method that verifies the cart item that we've got, ensures that it's apple, and we've got a quantity of 3. I think it's time for us now to create a new unit test where we put a different quantity of a different product into our shopping cart and see what that does to our production code. See you shortly.